The NTSB is now on the scene in Frederick, Maryland, investigating a deadly mid-air collision. Yesterday afternoon, a small plane and helicopter collided over the Frederick Municipal Airport, killing the 3 people on board that helicopter. Tonight, an aviation expert explains how investigators will piece the chain of events back together.
Josie Sturman is live in our newsroom now with that story. Josie?
Well, Allison, air traffic control recordings, GPS data from the aircraft, weather, and even more will be looked at by investigators as they try to unravel the mystery of this crash. They'll look second by second to figure out what happened and what mistakes were made. Investigators on the ground in Frederick examining the aftermath of yesterday's mid-air collision that left a single-engine plane dangling in the woods.
It came right down between those trees.
A preliminary look at the wreckage is just the first step in figuring out what caused the accident that killed 3 men.
A crash is a series of a chain of events. If you take any one link out of that chain, the accident wouldn't take place.
Greg Winton, a private aviation attorney who used to work for the feds, says the chain will now be broken down piece by FAA and NTSB investigators. It's a process that could take months.
The probable cause may be one thing or maybe one person, or it's usually a probable cause with contributing factors. And that's what we look at. So it's not going to be the blame is on one person.
Instead, the responsibility can fall with both the pilots of the plane and helicopter as well as air traffic control.
See and avoid is always the #1 responsibility for all the pilots operating in the environment. However, the air traffic controller is also responsible for the choreography, if we would, separation of aircraft.
Investigators will use radar from the tower to recreate the placement of both aircraft before the crash. And Winton says data from the Cirrus plane saved by its parachute will also be key to the investigation. Now, the Frederick Airport, although small, does have an air traffic control tower. It's staffed by contractors, but Winton says those controllers are trained to the same standard as FAA employees, so there is no difference there. And regardless, he says, after a crash, investigators will want to know more about the experience and the workload of the person in the tower. It's just one piece of a much larger investigation. In the newsroom, Josie Sturman, ABC 7 News.